What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? This is Gangsta Astrology and Rap Beat, and I'm out here in the elements right now. Let's go over this little thing with this Civil War, Detroit. Not really, but it is. But so we're gonna touch on the astrology of it first before we go into the details. It's with Dawgface. Dawgface has a Cancer sun sign. Big Meech has a Cancer sun sign. Dugg has a Sagittarius sun sign, and Peezy has a Scorpio sun sign. A little bit about these before we go on. See, the Cancer sun sign, Cancer is all about family, right? They usually don't have no friends. They either view you as family or not. You know, it's usually hard for them to let people in, you know, but when they hold that grudge, they hold on to it, like 50 being a Cancer as well. So Dugg, Cancer can have the worst potty mouth that you've never seen.
And bitch, you the one who said you don't want to get out. You don't want to get out. When I put that bet out there, you hoe ass nigga, the only one of you bitch ass niggas who took the bet or tried to fake take the bet was Seti Big Titty Double D cup wearing ass Nash.
Dugg has a Sagittarius sun sign. Sagittarius can speak a lot blunt, real blunt, without thinking about what the fuck they saying. And so some of the times they'll say some stuff that they probably shouldn't say because they just lack an attack at it, you know, lacking tact. And then you have Scorpio. This is Peezy. Scorpio and Peezy is, you know, really you almost don't never know what's going on behind the scene or whatever, you know, and that's one that you gotta kind of push them. There's always something going on, but you don't really know what's going on right there. But the relationship, Peezy and Dawgface, both of those are water signs, so it's understanding why they jail. You got another person, I'm not gonna even put them in this right now, you know, but that person, I'm not gonna even put them in there, but that person is, I ain't gonna put them in there right now. Okay, so anyway, let's deal with what's going on with this Dugg and Dawgface thing, and maybe touch on the Peezy and maybe touch on the Big Meech. First, we got to check out this little video right here, or right there. It's gonna be one of these places.
We moving on from that nigga, y'all. Streets up, man. Detroit, east, west. We moving on from that nigga, man. We ain't supporting that nigga no more. That nigga hate us. Nigga call niggas kids, slow. Talk about niggas' mama. Don't nobody wanna talk about nobody's mama with you. You sick, Wayne. Fuck on, nigga. Take that shit back where you came from, nigga. We know you ain't no real street nigga, because you wouldn't even feel comfortable talking the shit you talking to that nigga DM. Like, shut your bitch ass up, nigga. We moving on from that nigga.
Hey, Detroit, breaking news alert. Hey, Dugg, I'm gonna need you to come to the front of the congregation and sit your little bitch ass down on this toilet right here. See that? I'm gonna need you to sit your big booty ass down on this toilet right here so we can have a conversation. Now, you go to Instagram and you make 2 motherfucking videos about me. That's strange, but it's also interesting because when your mans who rap drop their songs, you don't share their covers. When they drop their rap videos, you don't share their rap videos in your story. But you got enough pressure for me to make 2 videos about me? And you telling Detroit, oh yeah, man, we ain't fucking with him. He ain't from Detroit, he from Pontiac. Hey, Helliver, hey, DJ Brown, hey, Ant Beach, we ready for y'all to take off.
So first, let me say this. The whole thing with, you know, Al Nuke and all of these other people, the people that got Dawgface first channel taken down was bogus as hell. That was 100% rat shit.
The play has been set. The money is on the floor. And Detroit burn in ashes with the fucking face of Dawgface. You make sure you do it. Make sure.
After fingering Diego Calderon as a person of interest in his own death, Detroit native Al Nuke declared war on fellow Eastside Detroiter Diego Calderon.
No, 100% rat shit. The ones that got his first channel taken down, they was bogus for doing that, you know. And then I even seen some videos with them getting online and talking about he's supposed to be doing something to him, basically telling the police if anything happened to them, you know, make sure y'all take a look at this dude right here. That again was some rat shit. Right now, his response to some of that. Dawgface's response to some of that. It was a letter that he read that's supposed to went to a lawyer or something like that, but that wasn't all the way 100 neither, because in that he said something about somebody being a gangbanger, you know. And for you to say that, you know, that was bold. That was something that should not have been said inside of that, because the police is on all of these channels, right? This is their best ground for investigation, looking at these YouTube channels. You know, even my tarot channel. That's what made me fall back on doing the tarot when all of that little Dirk stuff and all of that NBA young boy stuff was going on. The readings was on point, but then I started getting comments, and the comments I knew was some police type of stuff. You know, it was the police. You know, and the information was on point, so I had to fall back on providing my readings and things of that nature. Now, it can be a little bit tricky. It ain't tricky, you know. It's a matter of what will you sell yourself for, you know. Being a podcaster, being a YouTuber, and all of that stuff, you know, especially if your niche is one where you are reporting the current events and current affairs, you know, sometimes that, you know, you got to make a decision. You got to decide if you are going to work off of your morals or if you are going to try to go and get the bag. Because sometimes you might have to refrain for some of the stuff or saying some of the stuff that you know violates a code, and that's going to stop you from getting the bag that you know you can get. A good way to do is to ask yourself, how much would you snitch for? That's all you got to do. Would you snitch for a certain amount of clicks? Would you snitch for a certain amount of dollars? You know, what would you snitch for? You know, that's what you gotta ask yourself. You know, hopefully your answer is nothing, but come on, that's gonna be only probably 10% of the people in the prison system, and that's probably gonna be about 3% of the people that's not in the prison system. You know, so okay, that's two areas where they was wrong. But the Al Nuke shit was way more wronger than the Dawgface shit at that time. However, when Dawgface got on there and started accusing somebody else of pretty much sex crimes and and being a groomer and stuff like that, that was 100% fuck shit. That was 100% police shit. That was 100. Now I know you're gonna go, look here, I did 27 or 40 years, right? And it's not a matter of me condoning something or anything like that. No, you went by a certain code. You are branding yourself as someone who checks people and that don't live up to this particular code. So up under no circumstances are you in a position to violate that code. If you feel like somebody did something to the degree where you feel like you want to violate that code, then that's when you're supposed to go take it upon yourself to deal with that issue instead of violating that code yourself, right? Let's not play no fucking games here, right? Okay, so now we got 42 Dugg, right? What 42 Dugg did, 42 Dugg made himself look bold as hell, you know. And the reason why he made himself look bold is because this was the only person, Dawgface was the only person that was sitting up there taking up for you. He was the only one willing to go against all of these big name peoples and all of that stuff, big name people and all of that stuff to take up for you, right? To take up for you. And I'm not saying that you asked him to do it. I'm not saying that you wanted him to do it, but one thing that we can all agree on is you did not tell him to stop. You did not tell him to quit defending you, right? And and then the history that y'all had there, he opened some doors for you as well, you know. So the disagreement that you had with him should have been something that was handled on the back channels. Now, I'm not in the middle of none of these circles. It very well could have been being dealt with in the back channels. I guess it was in the DMs, but something like this, fuck a DM. Something like this merits a telephone call, because DMs and texts and emails, all of that stuff, none of that stuff shows the proper tone. You know, it's not until you talk to somebody, but everybody's scared to talk to people because they think it's going to be recorded, you know, which it probably is, you know. But don't say nothing that you ain't willing to stand on. That brings us to Peezy. Now with Peezy, what Peezy said what's good as far as, you know, you're not letting nobody make you choose sides. You know, that was good. That was right. That was on point. You know, but at the same time, and I got what he said about somebody using an old recording and making it seem like it was new to make it seem to really try to put them in the middle of the bullshit, right? And that was sagacious, you know. But the fact is that you did say those things at some point. So unless you are going to come out and clear up what changed your position on that, then you shouldn't have a problem with that. Your thing should be, okay, well, saying what you're saying like you did. Now, when you get to the point of saying they both acting like some bitches and all of that stuff, I understand that we might talk. I don't talk like that, but ain't nobody got to call me no bitch, and I'm just good with it, you know. But I know a lot of dudes talk to each other like that, you know. That's something that you should have said to them, not in front of the world, because once you say that in front of the world, you know, then you are making it look a certain way, you know. It sounds like you and Dawgface kind of got y'all stuff leveled out. I understand. It sounds like you and the other guy, you know, I don't know if y'all got y'all stuff leveled out or not, you know, but look, there's some more coming with this, you know. There's some more coming with this. Now we got to talk about, is Dawgface in his right to say he's from Detroit, or is he representing Detroit? That's gonna be on our next one, or it might be here. I might slice and dice and cut this joint up. But is he representing Detroit? Does he have the right to represent Detroit? Well, Dawgface is from a city called, he was born and he grew up in his early schooling in a city called Pontiac, Michigan. Pontiac, Michigan is pretty much about 20 minutes away from Detroit, depending on where it is that you at. Pontiac, Michigan is not no place with just Easter bunnies and roses. Pontiac, Michigan has its gutter gully parts. In fact, a whole bunch of people from Detroit, when I was younger, used to go up to Pontiac to roll, right? And that's probably where he first began to encounter people from the city of Detroit. Dawgface group was living in the projects inside of Pontiac. You know, he was living just as rough as the east side or anywhere else, you know. Now, here's where the hypocrisy comes in. Now, he moved to Detroit, he say, at the age of 14. Got locked up at some point, ended up doing 17 years in prison. Came back out, paroled back to Detroit. Usually that's how it go. Whatever city that you catch your case in, 9 times out of 10, or whatever county, 9 times out of 10, that's where you paroling back to. You know, unless you got some other people somewhere else. You know. So when he does this, you know, when he goes to the city, what has he been done? Has he been representing the city, and does he have the right to represent the city? If he's been living there, and it's something that I had to change my stance on. That was one of my biggest issues with Eminem, because I was like, he grew up in Warren. He went to Warren schools. He graduated from Warren High School, or he went to Warren High School. He's not from the city of Detroit, right? And Warren could be somewhat racist. Even though he grew up in a trailer park, he was not in Detroit. He was in Warren. But at some point, I had to say, well, he have been representing Detroit, even though he's not from Detroit proper. You know what I'm saying? He has been representing Detroit. Dawgface actually was living in Detroit, and Eminem might have been living in the skyrises downtown or somewhere too. I don't know, you know. But Dawgface was living in the city of Detroit, but he can be from there, but he's not born there, and it's going to be a difference. The difference is, for a person that's born there, then it's just certain things that's just interwoven inside of you, you know. Does he have the right to do that? You know, I would say yeah. The same way that, because you can't say that he don't, but Eminem do. In fact, let me give you a bigger one. You can't say that he doesn't, but Big Meech does. Here's the reason why. Big Meech is not from the city of Detroit. Big Meech is from Ecorse, Michigan, right? Ecorse is way closer than Pontiac and is on a borderline, but Ecorse is proud to be Ecorse, and Ecorse represent themselves as Ecorse. When they go out of town, they may say Detroit, because people are going to be like, where the fuck is Ecorse? You know. But he's from Ecorse. But everybody accept and embrace him as being a representative of Detroit. He wasn't born in Detroit. He did not grow up in Detroit. He grew up in Ecorse. It's right there. you know, but he's from Ecorse, you know. And another fact, while we on Meech, I think this is the real big problem. So this is where it comes from being born from a place when the city adopt you. Before we go there, let's do Esham. People would, you know, 100% say Esham is from the city of Detroit, but he was born in New York. At some period he came to Detroit, but he was born in New York. When the city of Detroit embraced people as their legends, and you start to tear them down, which is what Dawgface did. In his mind, he think that Big Meech told. But what he did is what he accusing everybody else of doing right now. He went with somebody from 2 other states with some allegations and no concrete proof, saying that Big Meech was a rat. But this is the same thing that he's accusing them of riding with other people and reaching out to other people about someone who's representing Detroit. You know, the hypocrisy is deep right there. And that's something that you have to really, really, really be careful of and beware of and look at. You see, when you're dealing with this cancer energy, it can become a cancer. You know, cancer is good with the imagination. It likes to create things, and sometimes it's for the positive, sometimes it's for the negative. Yeah. So everybody in this situation that made some moves that was right, then said some things that was proper, and then did some things that was not proper. T Grizzly Aries, he's an Aries. He's from the west side of Detroit. So it's you can't do nothing but take your hat off to Dawgface for standing up for T Grizzly the way that he did. He didn't have to, and T Grizzly might not have even needed him to, but he did. And you can't take that away. Wasn't nobody else saying anything in his defense. You got whole people that's trying to get him framed for a murder, locked up for a murder. But everybody gangster, and this stuff is all real. And to the other dude, just because you ride around a city and you announce on social media that you inside of that city, that don't mean people supposed to crash out and come out their house and start shooting at you. You know, y'all stuff is internet stuff. Yeah, be careful what you call for, because sometimes you might get it. But most of the time, be happy that you're not. Until then, doses.